Joining me now is Jim Baker, the IACP Director of Advocacy, and also Lieutenant Tarrick McGuire of the Arlington Police Department. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The Institute for Community Police Relations, it was formed a while ago, but remind us about your core mission.
Yeah, it was formed, we launched it in May of 2015. Originally, when we launched it, it was focused on the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. In the early stages of the Institute, we were doing a lot of awareness work in communities around the country. We gathered a lot of information. Since then, we've been working with police departments, about 20 in all, that have really exhibited moving to a 21st century policing model. And as a result of that, we've been able to capture some great best practices. We've documented them through blogs and articles and collected that information. And now what's starting to happen is we're starting to be the conduit to serve that information to other agencies who are looking to move to a new generation of policing in America.
So spread it around so everybody gets a piece of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Lieutenant, it's a complicated, challenging time to be a police officer in 2017. What are you guys focusing on right now?
Absolutely. So there have been multiple challenges over the past several years. And I think that, as Jim talked about 21st century policing, a lot of police departments across the country have really adopted that model and moved into how they can better serve their communities. So I think that moving forward, police departments are really focusing on how do we operationalize this knowledge and working with people that are within their community. So I think that law enforcement is still not getting enough credit with a lot of the issues that they have faced and who they're partnering with as stakeholders in creating those relationships and partnerships. But at this current point in time, I believe that police have adopted the 21st century policing mindset, really focusing on building trust and legitimacy and officer safety and wellness. So it's very important to not only build relationships with the community, but also support your law enforcement officers cohesively in that initiative.
Mr. Baker, let's talk about some of the tools specifically that you offer to departments and agencies around the country.
We do. We'll go in and do SWOT analysis of the agency against the 6 pillars of 21st century policing. We've also done some TA, technical assistant work with agencies, and we'll provide good information and guidance. There is a lot of information out there from various federal sources, other agencies that really do document what the lieutenant was just talking about. How do you build that trust and legitimacy in communities? And I want to emphasize what the lieutenant said. One of the things that we're seeing through the Institute of Community Police Relations is that in some ways, I don't think it's fully understood how hard police chiefs are working around the country to build those relationships in their communities. Been challenged, especially the disenfranchised, the people that feel like they haven't been part of the community,
right,
where a lot of the issues end up coming up. And part of the focus of the Institute is really going to the places where the hard conversations are happening. It's easy to go in front of the local Lions Club as a chief and have a conversation with them because they're very supportive.
Right.
Go down to the local church where 5 or 6 of the moms inside the church have lost their kids to gunfire, and then have that conversation. That's the work that we're trying to do with some of the agencies around the country.
How can, Lieutenant, the police chiefs who are at IACP, how can they best utilize the Institute? Well,
so I believe that the Institute provides technical assistance out in the field. They really have really proctored a lot of training across the country, as Jim just said earlier, to identify what works best. I think one of the most significant documents that the Institute has developed working with George Mason University is looking at the task force report and seeing how does this apply from an evidence and research-based standpoint for police agencies. And so we know that any law enforcement agency that is very successful utilizes research and evidence to employ whatever their tactics are tactically in the community. So the Institute has a model role of examples, Policing Inside Out being one of them, was something that was a partnership at Howard University that assessed community relationships that interface students with police officers. And as Jim talked about, having those challenging conversations and how do you have guided discussions to really more so not come to a resolution, but to come to an understanding where you can work together. So IACP has a menu of items that I think law enforcement and executive leaders can tap into to be resourceful within their respective areas.
All right. Lastly, Mr. Baker, anything else we should know about the Institute?
We're here. We want to help our members. We want to help law enforcement move towards a 21st century policing model. These issues that we face in our communities are not going away. They don't change with change of political structure.
Right.
People have found their voices in communities. They know how to organize, and I think it's very important that law enforcement is equipped with the skills to be able to listen to their community and figure out common ground where you can work together to raise the quality of life and provide public safety in the communities.
All right, Jim Baker, Lieutenant Tarrick McGuire, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.